Bruchim Abayim, welcome everyone to the Daniel S. Loeb Torah Center. Today's class and all classes this week will be dedicated by the Torah Center Silver donors Jack and Claudia Mamie and Nishmat Ruth Orfali Bat Adela Aleha Shalom. Okay, so we started a new Sefer and we said that this is a 37-day speech by Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu speaks for 37 days. He breaks it up a little bit. I'm sure it is a world record in terms of speech times, although there have been presidents and Congress people who got close to it, but 37 days is quite extensive. And we said because this is his last will and testament, and therefore Moshe Rabbeinu is entitled to speak for 37 days before he leaves this world. This entire speech begins on Rosh Chodesh Shvat, ends on Zayin Adar when he's niftar, when he dies, so that ends up being 37 days. And he begins, and this is very important, we're going to learn something very important from this concept. He begins this speech, this final will and testament, his deathbed confession, if you will, with rebuke. He's going to rebuke the Jewish people, but he does it in a very interesting way. He doesn't just come out and start reminding them of all the sins they had done over the past 40 years, whether it involved Avodah Zarah, whether it involved Baal Peor, whether it involved the spies, the Meraglim, whether it involved the sin of the golden calf. He's going to double click on a lot of these things later on, but right now he's going to run through a checklist of a number of things, but he doesn't do it by saying what the sin is. Very famously, says Rashi, he does it by referring to the location. And that is enough for the Jewish people. Thank you so much, Nathan. God bless you. I need this to wake up. A bracha for those who are here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niyeh bidvaro. That was good. He's going to do it by mentioning location. He mentions a list of locations. The locations are Mol Suf ben Paran, Tofel, Lavan. All these are code words, my dear friends, says Rashi. And the plains and the Sea of Reeds, the Yam Suf, of course, refers to the rebellion at the Red Sea. Paran is what they did with the spies, because that's where the Meraglim took place. And so Moshe Rabbeinu is coding sins. Why doesn't he just say it straight out? You guys, you worship Avodah Zarah, you sent in spies. Why is he doing this convoluted location? It's like, you went somewhere with your spouse, or you went somewhere with your kids and they messed around and they did a terrible thing in that place. And instead of saying, you remember how you punched that person or how you got angry, it's like, remember, Atlantic Beach? Remember Vegas? Actually, in most cases, better not to remember Vegas. But whatever it is, we want to be very careful. He says in mentioning the locations. Why is this? And the question becomes even stronger, my dear friends, when you remember that in a few Pesukim, he's going to start telling them exactly what they did. So this decoded message is about to be decoded in only a few Pesukim. So why does he start like this? It's a very famous question. So one answer given by the rabbis is that he's listing everything right now. Later on, he's going to do it one by one. And when it comes to giving a rebuke to other people, you can't come with 500 things they've done wrong, because they're not going to be mekabel, they're not going to accept it. And therefore, and this is important for us too, when you want to tell someone off for something they've done, you don't just load them up with everything they've done. You are coded and you are careful to give a list, but in a very careful way. And later on, we'll do it one by one. You can't go into rebuke overload, because you're going to lose the entire argument and your rebuke is going to be completely futile. That's one answer. Another answer, and this is the more interesting one we're going to have to double click on a little bit, is how you begin to rebuke friends, employees, family members, members of your congregation. How are we expected to do that? How are we expected to open up conversations which are awkward, which are uncomfortable, but which are extremely necessary? That is what Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us. And the way to do that is, no matter how bad this person is, and no matter what list of things they've committed, the opening of the conversation has to be carefully deliberated, has to be subtle. And so he opens up with a list of things that he's going to talk about in more detail, and it's actually in a different order, which is interesting of itself, why the list over here is going to be a different order to the various individual acts that they did. But he opens up, Moshe Rabbeinu opens up this list of problems and things they've done wrong by starting carefully and not just shouting at them and not listing them off, because when you open up, the first few words that come out of your mouth are the most important. That is going to set the tone for everything else. So let's talk about this, because there is a Mishnah that describes this in more detail, and more importantly, it's going to teach us how to react to people now, and with Tisha B'Av coming up in a few days. Right? Hopefully it'll be cancelled this year. Not too difficult to cancel it. It just takes Mashiach to come. No Tisha B'Av. But right now we're on course for it. And there is a very famous Mishnah that says that a person has to be Makabel Adam, has to accept people with Seva Panim Yafot and Makdim Shalom, the Kol Adam, and to be the first to give shalom to other people. Be the first to give shalom to other people. Now, when I was a kid, I always thought, and I believe this is true, that this is like a race. You're out on the street, you see someone you know, and you have to be Magdim Shalom. You've got to say shalom to them before they say shalom to you. You should greet them first. And by the way, that is true. I mean, in that scenario, there's usually going to be one winner and one loser. That's just the way of averages. Unless you manage to completely time the shalom, which many of us are able to do perfectly. You see someone, you greet them, and you should do it with a Seva Panim Yafot, another Mishnah, with a happy countenance. Don't give them a sour face, even if you are in a sour mood, which you could well be on the way to Bet Knesset, on the way to your job, on the way to the train, on the way to the bus, on the way to shopping, or in the market, whatever it is. Try to give people a happy face. I've mentioned it before. Your face does not belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. Your face belongs to the Rabbim. Your face belongs to everyone else. You don't look at your face as much as other people look at your face. Most of you here sitting today are looking at my face much longer than I looked at my face this morning in the mirror when I brushed my teeth and did my eyebrows. You're welcome. That's it. That's it. So my face is what I give to you, but my face belongs to you. It belongs to the Reshut HaRabim. It belongs to everybody else. And therefore, you have to be Makdim Shalom, and the Shalom you give needs to be B'Seva Panim Yafot. You need to smile at other people and make them feel good. So Moshe Rabbeinu is doing that. Moshe Rabbeinu is starting off his conversation with Shalom, with peace. He's about to come down on them. Oh, he's about to give him a wallop, a complete smack. But he realizes in order to gain traction, you've got to be Makdim Shalom. That's one understanding. Another very important understanding, which is going to be important over here, is that there are times when it's difficult to give Shalom, when it's not so easy. For example, you go to a Bet Avel, you go to a house of mourning, or you go into Tisha B'Av. On Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to give Shalom. Most people are not aware of that. You're not allowed to greet anyone else. We're all familiar with the no leather shoes, and no eating, and no drinking, no anointing, no showering. But actually, you're not allowed to greet other people. And that should be painful. In other words, it should be your natural go-to reaction when you see someone to greet them and give them shalom. That should be your go-to midah. So much so that on Tisha B'Av, not catching their eye and not greeting them should become one of the painful things that you do on not just for the other person, but for you as well. Because shalom should be so ingrained in your personality, and greeting other people and being nice to them should be so ingrained in our personalities that, say the rabbis, should be painful for you on Tisha B'Av. So our entire existence on Tisha B'Av should be painful. Now, you also do not learn Torah that makes you happy on Tisha B'Av. Right? There are people, holy people, unfortunately I'm not one of them, who as soon as Tisha B'Av goes out, rather than running to the bagels, right? They run to a Sefer Torah, they run to a Chumash, they run to a Gemara, and they learn because they couldn't learn all day, and so they want to learn Torah to make them happy. That actually is the way that, but in regard to this as well, there are people who are very quick to go and greet all the people in their Bet Knesset that they feel as though they feel included and loved, although they had to ignore them the entire day. That's also Makdim, Havi Makdim Shalom L'Kol Adam. So that Motzei Tisha B'Av, they would go around and greet other people and say, I hope your fast was good, or whatever their local community's way of greeting people, Rabul Bosher, whatever it is, your Persians, Syrians, Ashkenazim, whatever it is, right? Don't run to the food. Run to a Jew, Motzei Tisha B'Av, give them shalom, shake their hand, give them a hug, and then go forward and go start eating. Maybe that's the thing if you're not able to learn Torah, which most of us don't do. But at least go and give shalom to another person right after the fast because they feel pretty depressed and say, don't worry, we'll be in Yerushalayim very, very soon. Okay, so that's very important as well of how we greet people, Magdim Shalom.